Hey guys, this is Brett Young, Taylor Young, and Rod Erb, and you're tuned in to the Be Extraordinary podcast with Erb and Young. Real conversations about business, leadership, and personal development. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is Brett Young, one of your co-host of the Be Extraordinary podcast. Welcome back. We have a special guest today, a BEP member. Shout out to the BEP community.
That's right.
And we have been, we've known each other for almost a year now. Is that right, Ashlin?
I would say it's been over a year, almost two.
It's incredible. And we've just grown such an affinity to her story, to her personality, to just her swag. She is just as energetic as they come, and you just can't help but draw energy from you every time I'm around you. So selfishly, I just want to be around you as much as I can. So I know the three of us are super stoked to have you today. We've talked about this for a while, and we're going to get to unpack some really, really good stuff. So I'm going to go through a quick bio and a quick background as much as I can, and then I'd like to really just dive right into your story. And but the overarching theme I got from our last conversation, which blew me away, by the way, hearing just your just where you've come from and where you are today, and I know you're doing incredible things in the mortgage space, and we'll get into that, is a quote. I just sent this out to the team. It was on our call that we had with our organization it was yesterday, and it was hard times create strong people. Strong people create good times. Good times create weak people, and weak people create hard times. And your story of hard times and this market that we're in of hard times, it seems to have produced such a vibrant woman and is such a strong business professional that there's just so many similarities to that I hope we draw to. And so the intention that we have today is to really get into the nitty gritty of how are you here and what have you learned along the way and your journey through that. So for those of you that are listening, I have Ashlin Endter with us today. She's with 4MG Mortgage, her brokerage down in South Florida. She just got here on her flight that was canceled 3 times.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Oh my God.
So we're humbled that you would take that amount of time to be here with us and share your story. And so thank you for being on the show.
No, thank you for having me, guys. I'm super excited to be here.
That's amazing. Well, let's dive into it. So, for the viewer that's listening at home, kind of give you a background of where you are today, what you're doing, as far as mortgage space, kind of your elevator of a current state, and then we're going to go back in time a little bit because I know it wasn't always this way, and I know you're crushing it. So,
yeah. So obviously, thanks for having me again, guys. I'm super excited to be
pleasure.
here. Obviously, greatness, marriage greatness. So
love that.
Again, thanks for having me. So where we are today, failing forward, right? I just think if we're going to have a genuine, honest conversation, it's through success that has come with failing forward. Opening up a company now that's going live just about in a week and a half.
It's exciting.
If you would have asked me, 4.5 years ago when I was broke, busted, and disgusted, quite literally, if I would ever be here today, I would tell you no. So my story is really just one of failing forward. People think that success comes overnight, but really what it comes is by hitting the wall. And I think, well, man, that didn't work, so we're going to hit it again, and we're going to do it differently. We're going to come at it from a different angle. But that's really what it is. I mean, I started in the mortgage industry because my best friend couldn't get her real estate license. At the time, I'm literally rebuilding a business. I'm like, well, this is how it's going to go. I'm completely dropped out of medical school, didn't even finish getting my degree. I was a nurse. I was like literally broke, busted, and disgusted. And an opportunity came up, and that was really it, failing forward. I looked at my mom and I was like, hey, Bank of Mom, can I borrow $600 to get a certification? And my dad's like, something else you're not going to use? And I was like,
oh, crap. This is a certification to
get
started with the mortgage business.
To get my mortgage license. My dad, it's like something else, more money another certification that you're not going to use. And I'm like, my mom's looking at me. She's like, mija. And I'm like, just you know. And but that's really it. A story of failing forward. I really didn't know. I couldn't even spell mortgage when I got started.
Yeah.
I knew we had one. I knew at the time I couldn't pay one, and I knew I didn't qualify for one. But I really, really didn't know anything besides that, except I had an opportunity in my hands.
Wow.
It took me 6 months to get my first lead, but my first deal that I closed was $15,000.
This is a cool story. So, and for the viewers at home, like, so in a week, your brokerage goes live. You've been in the business for 4 years.
4.5, yeah.
You have 5 team members. You have five team members. I think that's what it was to start.
5.
It's amazing. And so, had a lot of success on your own, and
Yes.
now this next chapter and opportunity of being an entrepreneur has now come. And so, and all of it started from this one lead that you got, which I believe was at the school, correct?
At the school, I couldn't even afford the school at the time.
So take me back there, right? You had a situation that happened at school. You were not happy with it because it didn't align with your values, and you looked at the options for your most precious, babies, and you said, I got to go here. But at the time, the tuition was something that you couldn't afford, right?
I couldn't.
Just couldn't afford. So you went down, interviewed the school, did the whole deal, did the whole rerun, competing against other people, right, to get into the school.
She took the last spot of kindergarten.
Takes the last spot at kindergarten at the last second.
Yep.
Don't know how you're going to pay for it.
Nope.
Ends up meeting somebody, and somebody was, you talked about they were almost crying, and they were in a situation where they couldn't get a mortgage.
Yeah, it's literally what happened. So my daughter ends up going to a Christian private school. Like you said, we didn't align. It didn't align, the school she was at with our values. So put her in the school. She gets the last spot. She ends up in the same classroom as the lady who had been promoting the school, who had been following on Instagram for like 10 years. We didn't have a personal relationship, but she was just like an influencer, right? So she's talking about how like the school's amazing. I had just gone on 21 days of prayer and fasting. I'm like, you know what? Let me ask her. Long story short, my oldest daughter, Valentina, gets the spot into the school, ends up in this lady's daughter's class.
Wow.
Like now we're like a month and a half into school. I'm looking at the almost negative and depleting bank account where you're like taking money out. So like when it overdrafts, you're already overdrafted.
Wow.
And I pull up at school and at pickup and she's like, hey, what's going on? She's like, I really want to buy a house in the Redlands. And I'm like, well, I live there. She's like, oh, my husband, taxes, and very Miami. And I'm like, oh, just let me take a crack at it. No, my husband's mentor is going to take care of us. And I'm like, okay. Day 2 comes by, same thing. We're pull up next to each other. I think at that point I was like, Mom, I need gas money. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go pick up Valentina again. And I'm like, hey, give me a shot. And she's like, I really want this house. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I don't look at it. 3rd day, she's like, all right, cool. I'm going to send you my documents. Well, long story short, that was the first lead that I ever closed. And the craziest thing is I was able to get her into a bank statement loan where she was putting like 10% down on a jumbo loan. And the monthly payment went from like $10,000 to like $5,000. And she was in the Monet community and it blew up. And my first commission check was $15,000.
Wow.
And all I really needed was an extra $200, $250 a month. Because at that point I was counting diapers. We had the conversation. I was literally counting diapers because I had just had a baby too. So I have 2 girls. I'm literally broke, busted, and disgusted. I'm living at home with my parents. I'm on food stamps, WIC, all the above. I'm literally taking my WIC cartons, scanning my WIC card at Publix, buying the 4 or 5 lactate cartons, holding the Publix receipt. And 3 or 4 days later, I would go back and just return it because I needed the money. So you take your Publix receipt with the stuff that you have, they give you cash back. And our local Publix is still there, has a chase outside. And I would put the money in there because on Thursday we would overdraft and we couldn't afford to be overdrafted on Friday.
Jeez.
So imagine what a $15,000 check does. It really opens your horizons. And now I have this forever client who is forever thankful to me for serving her, right? I'm $15,000 richer. And I'm like, wait, this is one deal. But really it was just such a light bulb moment because I served her in her most imminent need. Yeah, did they need the $1 million house? Probably not, but it's what they wanted, right? And now you look at it, it turned into a place where she found God. It's so crazy, so humbling. It's such a crazy story. She found God. She opened her doors to a women's small Bible group. Tons of women and children have come through that house and just connected, built a community, talk about God, faith, community, relationship. And she has a mini farm and she's living her best life. And literally her testimony is getting this house was a work of God.
Wow.
And
That's
it changed
incredible.
everything. Yeah.
So she looks at you in a light of your godsend because you were. It's amazing. And
yeah.
you're looking at going, you were my godsend. So it's a reciprocal gift.
So crazy. It was such a wild moment. I still hold that so dear in my heart. She didn't know she was my first client ever. Wow. I was like,
of course not.
Listen, we're gonna
Make it till we make it. Amen, man.
And I actually told her that I think like maybe 6 months ago, I was like, hey, just so you know, like you're my first client ever. Like you saved my life.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's I have goosebumps, and I knew I would.
Yeah.
So because I want to keep this moving because I have so many questions. I'm already writing stuff down. So huge moment at that point. Did it ever go back? And from then, was it momentum moving forward? And when you say it blew up, can you expand on that?
Yeah. So at that point, social media we know, right? We live in a very big era of social media. So she goes on, she starts posting about her testimony, how like this wasn't supposed to happen. And really, if they would have continued down that route, it wouldn't have happened, right? Like it's a humble position, but it wouldn't have worked out for them financially. It wouldn't have made sense.
Awesome.
And she starts talking about it. She starts connecting us. I end up doing a mortgage for one of the owners of Legacy Fit in Miami. Huge, very like premium gym.
Contact of hers.
Yeah. We met in the house after they closed, and she's like, hey, and they had moved from Alabama 5 years ago or 6 years ago. They're paying like $8,000 in rent. And they had the misconception that they needed 20% down to buy a house. Well, long story short, they didn't. At the time, I was able to get them into a 3.5% down payment program on a jumbo conventional loan. And then they just continued referring me. And from there, word of mouth and just connecting. And I think at that point, I gained confidence in what I was doing, even though I really was still throwing half-boiled pasta at the wall and like, oh, that's stuck. Great, let's move. But yeah, it wasn't always, because then there are times where we go back, which is what a lot of people are living right now. Our industry has taken a hit. But I say that loosely because it has also been such a great time to build and grow and scale your business and name for the people that have the right attitude.
We had a gentleman, Ryan Matheson, who's in the InsurTech space. Him and a couple partners run a company called Glovebox, and millions of dollars in revenue. They'll probably exit for some ungod knows amount of money, and they're one of the most successful entrepreneurs that we've had a chance to meet. Built a $100 million insurance agency before they started their deal. So a lot of respect for this gentleman and his team. And he spoke to our group yesterday, and what he said was, hard markets make winners.
Oh, for sure.
And I just hear that in your story so much. Just the hard market is what creates the champions if you have the right attitude.
Yeah, and if I can touch on that, so one of the things I look for when I look for partnerships, right, is attitude. Attitude is everything. Listen, I don't get up every morning and want to go win. Maybe not, no. I don't always have a winning attitude every morning. I turned 30, my back hurts. My kids don't sleep. I'm now a single mom. Life has happened, right? My life is getting restructured and things are happening in the market and insurance rates and, things that I can't control. But when I go into partnerships, when I start to meet people in the industry, the first thing I notice is their position. So I'm like, hey, what is your position on the market? It's the worst market. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You just told me everything I need.
So nice to see you.
That's exactly
right. So, and here's the thing, your attitude really, really shapes your reality. And look, I have bad days. I mean, look at what happened to my flight. I was like, I'm not going to make it. I was so upset. But I literally said to myself, I was like, if I come and continue meeting people who have those negative attitudes, what's going to happen to me? I'm going to get scared. Listen, one of the things that I did on social media, and I tell people, and I actually told someone the other day, is I don't follow local mortgage brokers. I don't. And it's not because I'm a hater or because I don't want to or because I don't support you, but because I need to stay in my lane, right? And I think a lot of people need to learn how to do that. Get your mind right. Get your grind tight, right? And that's a Mateen Cleaves thing. And I'm a big proponent of him. I love him. I just saw him yesterday. But stay in your lane. Everybody's so concerned about what everyone else is doing. And those negative thoughts start to consume you. So I want to hang out with winners. When I meet someone and they're like, I'm like, so what's your, what's your position on the market? Well, it's a challenging market, but I'm still cold calling. I'm still prospecting. I'm like, yes, let's go get coffee. Why? Because if you turn on the news right now, mortgage rates and lates, and look at the debt ceiling, and we're pretty, and it's like war, death, famine, and it's like, okay, who's gonna buy a house right now? And that happens sometimes. I'm like, wait, rates are going back up. All right, no, man, like let's go back out. My investors are buying. People are buying market share. People know that they're gonna get a better offer. We're gonna get seller concessions, and those are the partners I want to work with. I can't control the narrative of what happens outside of these doors, but I can control what happens in here. And when I'm controlling this, then I can control this. And when I control this, then we can grow together. So I'm looking for the people that have the same right mindset, because listen, I had a loser mindset. I was in my bed, literally praying to God for something. I remember just saying, God, send me something, whatever it is. If you just take me out of the situation, I'll figure it out. But then I'm sitting in bed just crying. I would wake up overwhelmed because there was tons of laundry. Like, your mindset is everything. And then surrounding yourself with people who have the right mindset is going to propel you forward.
You just said something, you said a lot that was fascinating, but specifically back to that first deal, and you mentioned belief, right? We talk about getting somebody a belief check. That seemed like a belief check for you, that ultimately I'm looking through this lens of survival, and then I see a $15,000 check and a customer that's thrilled that I've helped. And now my lens opens up to what's possible. And as you get that level of belief, in my opinion, it opens up your belief that doing the activity is worth it.
100%.
And so I'm always interested in that, because without that belief, that activity is so fleeting because you don't think it's worth it. And you're in bed and you're worried about the laundry. You're not worried about how am I going to grow or abundance. It's just like, how am I going to survive? So I don't know if you can speak to that a little bit about where your business went from there, from a referral or a belief perspective. When you got paid that $15,000, did your activity change? Did you go, oh my gosh, this is exciting. Like, I can do this. If I do 10 of these a year, I'm going to make $150,000. If I do 20 of these, did that turn on once you got paid? How did your business shift?
That was it. That was the aha moment. That was the holy cannoli, this is real moment. There's a lot of people that even when like you go and get your mortgage license, or you get your insurance, or you like anything in sales, people are like, that doesn't work. You're right. It doesn't work for you. Thank you. Move on. But it works. It works. And then you have this $15,000 check in your hand, and you're looking at your bank account. And you're like, man, I used to do network marketing, right? Mm-hmm. So I used to be in rooms with people who would make $5,000, and I used to write myself checks. Like, I can send you guys a picture of my vision board, and I would write myself $5,000 checks, $10,000 checks, $20,000 checks. That's what happens. You continue to pray and manifest. And I'm looking at those checks, and I'm like, God, I know one day I'm going to get there. But then you have it in your hand, and you're like, okay, wait. And that was a moment for me. I was like, what if it's not $15,000, but what if it's $4,000 commission? That's someone's salary a month. What if I do 2 or 3 of those? All right, cool. Let's get up and go find it.
So you start to stair-step your belief.
You start to stair-step your belief. I was a little more realistic, where I was like, okay, maybe not every deal is going to bring me 15,000, right? Because sometimes you have to cut commissions, you have to do certain things to make deals work, right? And whatever. But I'm like, okay, wait. So the average commission on a $400,000 house at the comp that I have is going to give me X number. So let's just say 400,000, 2%, you're making about $7,000, whatever. 7,000. I need one of those a month at that time, right? I was like, I need one a month. All right, let's go find it. So then you start kind of backstepping. You're like, oh, how many leads do I need? How many partners do I need? How many agents do I need to meet with? Mm-hmm. And then I really didn't know what I was doing, which was fine. But then I started looking into mentorship. And then I was like, okay, I can make the money and pay for the mentorship. How do I get what that guy has? And then that's when I got into coaching. And after I started making the money consistently, I was like, all right, cool. I'm scared, but scared money don't make no money.
Reinvesting.
We're going to reinvest. And what I reinvested, it was in myself. And a lot of people don't do that. Yep. A lot of people will not. They'll be like, I'm not paying $23,000 a month for a coach. Yep. You need to be.
We pay almost $100,000 for coaching inside these walls.
I invested about $60K last year.
And it has nothing to do with insurance, which is amazing. So that's $60K. Yeah. So think about this. So it's like, it's that's reinvesting back in the business. The business is you. I mean, so.
But that's it. And I think that's so strong, because at the end of the day, it's what I tell everyone. I'm like, look, I have a shared office space, right? The wall between my office and the office next to me, there was another mortgage broker. There's 7 mortgage brokers in my office. The one team that was next door to me closed, I think, like $7 million last month. By myself, I'm there. My competition is not the people next to me, the people down the street, the people with better rates. My competition is myself.
Talk to me.
God.
So why are you not investing in yourself? Because, we bet on all these people. We're throwing football parties. We're doing all these things. We're betting on all these famous people. Why are you not betting on yourself?
Yeah. I'm just so reminded, the platform of this podcast, business, leadership, personal development, you've just hit on all that. We're not talking about mortgages. We're not talking about insurance. No. But I don't care who you are and what your perspective is listening to this. If you're into business, or if you're into leadership, if you're into personal development, I mean, you're just laying down. I mean, especially as you start to shift into you versus you, you betting on yourself, it's so refreshing good. Just to see. It's refreshing to see the way you talk about it. No blame. No, no sour grapes. No, it's just me versus me, and I'm gonna find a way to get after it. I want it more than you do.
Yeah. Yeah. You meet a lot of people in the industry, and like I said, the naysayers. Like, okay, so what are you doing?
I'm waiting for things to change.
I'm waiting for rates to come down. All right, but I'll see you there. I look at so many people, and that's, the conversation we've had. There's so much talent out there. There's so much opportunity. I look at it and it drives me nuts. Yeah. And I want it because, like I was telling you, I was sharing with you earlier, one of my guys, I'm looking at him now. I'm like, you are not doing that at your previous employer. You are absolutely killing it, crushing it. Just hired his wife onto his team. She quit her job. They're a husband and wife team now. And we're friends. His production is completely separate from mine, but I saw that in him. And I said, you need to come work on the broker side. You need to come change your life. And, he told me something the other day, and I was like, Jay, and he's in the Northport area, so we talk a lot over the phone almost every morning. I'm like, Jay, how are you so happy all the time? He's like, Ash, I paid my mortgage. I'm like, yeah. What do you mean? He's like, I'm alive today. I had enough money to pay my mortgage. The lady on the phone asked me the same question. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, how are you so happy, sir, to pay your mortgage? And he's like, well, I got the opportunity to do so. And this is from someone who was literally broke, busted, and disgusted just a few months ago, right? And you look at it and you're like, there's so much opportunity, but you sometimes need someone just to be like, hey, come this way.
I've got a path. I've been there.
I've been there.
What's the quote? We're all most equipped to help the person that we once were, right?
Yeah.
I have a couple here that I just wrote down. I wanted to name this off because I agree with you, Rod. It's just like a clinic. I've got belief check. Everybody needs to get a belief check. Right? You're borrowing from somebody else's belief until you actually get that. And once you get that belief check, there's a lot of leverage in understanding what that means. I also think it's a huge thing when you're team building. It's a race to get them the belief check because that's the fire, that's that fuel. 2, I put impact, like the impact that you have being good at your craft maybe isn't talked about a lot. If you're going to be not good, you're going to have little impact. If you're going to be really good, you're going to have the opportunity to have a big impact, which is incredible. 3, I put referrals through goodwill, right? The ability to just do a really good job and people reward you by telling people about it. Mm-hmm. 4, hard markets create winners, right? Like there is a lot of people that are on defense. That's the perfect time to go on offense. 5, attitude is everything. 6, stay in your lane, right? Stay in your lane. 7, control the narrative between your ears. That's a huge one. And being able to do that requires you to get in the right environments because the environment that you're in supports and creates your mindset. Number 9, make the money, pay for the coaching. That one hits.
Imagine that.
Then number 10 is you versus you.
Not by the money, by the BMW.
There you go. That's right.
I mean, find the tax write-off. I had to do that one. That hurt. But add one more to the list. one of the agents, and this is kind of funny. I hopped on a plane. I looked, Ashlinisms. I hopped on a plane on a Monday afternoon. I looked at my assistant. I said, "Hey, what are we doing on Wednesday?" She's like, "We're working." I'm like, "We're going to the Hamptons." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "We're going to go chase an agent." She's like, "We're doing what?" I'm like, "We're chasing an agent." She told me to come out to the Hamptons. You want to go to New York? She's
That's
like,
amazing.
"I've never been to New York. I've never been to the Hamptons." I'm like, "All right, I'm booking it. Let's go." Wow. Well, Holly Meyer Lucas, she's a really, really big name in the real estate world over in the West Palm Beach area, the Meyer Lucas Group. And I jumped on a plane to go meet her and shake her hand in person. Holy crap. That's $4,000 I ever spent. My assistant had never been to New York, never been to the Hamptons. Wow. We stayed in the Hamptons, went to the event. We went to like a $19 million listing in the Hamptons where the event was held. No, it was like crazy. That's sick. You guys should look up Back Compass, their team out there. They do a podcast very much like this. Well, Holly says something that always stuck with me. And she actually said it at Our World like 3 weeks ago. And she says, "Be the person that you once needed." And that has stuck with me for like the last almost month since she said it. And she talks about it so much. I needed someone to tell me, "Hey, Ash, just keep going." Dang. I needed someone to tell me, "Hey, Ash, you need 90 days of action to start seeing the reaction." I needed someone to tell me that the work that I do today isn't going to pay me tomorrow. I need someone to tell me, just like Jay has told me, because I will call Jay in the morning. I'll be like, "Jay, this deal's going right. This agent hates me. This isn't supposed to." And he'll tell me, "You got some blood on your mouth. Spit it out and get back up." Be the person that you once needed. And that has molded me so much in the last month, because you'll see every morning I get on, I post the same thing, same way every time, sweat. I post my same logo. I talk about, bet on yourself, show up. Are you meeting your metrics? Are you hitting your goals? And then I go into my day. But be the person that you once needed. Be that person for someone else. One of the gifts I learned, I was doing some leadership training recently, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And they're talking about like, what's the meaning of life? Like, what is life? And everyone's like, happiness. And I'm like, to be happy, to create your happiness. Yeah, I get that, right? Like, I get that. But it's one of like those quotes, and I don't ever get it right, but it's along the lines of that. It's find your gift. And once you have your gift, give it away.
I love that.
And I'm in a position right now where I'm no better than anyone, but I have the motivation and the drive. Because remember, if there is a wall standing in front of me and the check is on the other side, and that means that my kids are going to eat, and that's the difference between my children eating or not, I'm going to break through every wall. So I tell people all the time, now I get it. Learn and give it away. Be the person that you needed. It's going to change it. I mean, I have learned so much more by giving my knowledge away, and it has come back tenfold for me. I've learned so much more from other people who teach me now.
So that's cool. What reminds me of that. That's so well said. It actually moved me emotionally a little bit. There's so much benefit from it, right? Because it almost forces you, and Brett says this a lot, it forces you to become that person. Yeah. And there's so much benefit by becoming that person, because you see it in your business, your relationships, because it requires growth. And then the ability to give it is so fulfilling, right? So there's so much benefits tangibly, and there's so many, that are intangibly. And it's just, that's a really well said concept that I really dig.
So good. Yeah. Service to others. I mean, it's just like you could go on a laundry list of why, every great leader of all ages at every time period talks about service to others. And that's the fulfillment you get from helping other people. But it's funny. It's like Maslow's hierarchy, right? You have to be able to take care of those basic needs that you need first in order to be able to get to a place where that's actually a need. And, being able to talk to somebody, to talk to your old self that's just trying to pay rent or pay the mortgage, it's hard to have a conversation about fulfillment from giving away your gifts. It's just not possible. But as you ascend up the development ladder, it is amazing how that becomes just one of your main focuses of impact and service to others. And because it just makes you feel so good that you're actually doing something. You're actually doing something that's actually worth something.
100%. I had a really big shift when I really realized like what my mission and my purpose was. I'm a servant leader. And when you come from that position, you're literally like your position physically changes. Like I am a servant leader. When you go onto my Instagram bio, it'll say like servant leader. It's the first thing it says, like servant leader. I get to serve people in one of the most important purchases of their life, if not the most important purchase of their life. You have to understand, you guys insure that purchase, right? But nobody really sits there and says like, okay, like let's break it down for a second. This is a place where you're going to bring your firstborn, your newborn baby home, where you're going to bring a sick parent home to pass. You're going to be building a life. This is sometimes the walls where your life falls apart. It just happened to me. 12 years. I'm rebuilding my life now. Single mom with 2 kids. It's a place where you're going to grow. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to make the mistakes. You might lose it all, right? But what we do is so important. I serve people through that process. And when I really made that shift and that mindset, and I said, I don't sell mortgages. I sell the service and the servant leadership of being from step A to step Z, and then I follow up with them for a lifetime. It changed. I'm not chasing the check. Yes, obviously, we all have needs, right? I'm chasing the story. I'm chasing the end result. I have a borrower right now that they've been renting for 16 years. She's like, I'm ready to buy because my mom, I want her to die in a home that I owned. What we do is so impactful. And when you pull it apart and you look at it from that perspective, we are servant leaders in what we do. We're not just salespeople.
Man, this is why I love hanging out with you every time, because it's just an emotional roller coaster because I love it. And I find a lot of myself in you in a sense of like, there's just a lot of emotion, and I appreciate that so much about just who you are. How much of that emotion has been an ingredient of your success? Because I feel like these beliefs don't just come because you wake up one day and you got hit with a dream. You know, I feel like there's intentionality in what you're doing to anchor in purpose into what you're doing. Is that subconscious? Is that intentional? Is that purposeful? Is that because of mentorship? Is that just the way you're built? And how does it impact what you do every day?
I was told that was too much my whole life. I mean, if we're going to unpack it, it's just who I am. It's in my core. I can't fake it. I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you're in this industry just for a check, please get out. Or you're going to be the one who's telling everyone on like your Instagram, like I'm going to go get a part-time job. Like, no, this is who I am. It's who I'm ingrained. I've always been too much or too little for people. And I found the industry where I can be myself. I'm able to be myself.
That's cool.
I can cry, I can scream, I can laugh, jump on chairs and spin around when you figure out a loan that's been crushing you. But I also think it comes with like years and years of just, hardship. I was adopted. So let's unpack all the abandonment issues. Oof. My 15-year-old teenage mom.
Talk to me about that.
Like it's a combination of life. Life in a sense breaks you down. But what am I going to do? I can sit here and cry about it, or I can sit here and use it and just be empathetic. Like I tell everyone, I'm like, man, stop being such a butthole. So many people are going through so much. Stop it. Show some grace. I tell people all the time, I'm like, you're no better than anyone else. You're not this alter ego, like this huge ego. Like, we are people at our core, and that's the one thing. I am who I am. I'm emotional. I tell people, I literally tell my clients, welcome to the family. Yeah.
People are messy. You got to like messy. If you like people, you like messy.
It's like what I tell everyone. I'm like, unpack it. We're going to peel it back like an onion. And depending on the client, I'll be like, we're going to get naked together. And people will laugh, but that's the thing.
Should I put that on my list?
Let's get naked together.
Yeah, let's get naked together.
I wanted to kind of jump back there to the naysayers and the people that kind of ruin opportunities for people before they start, right? Because it's so frustrating when you talk about a sales opportunity, when you have the cynic that's never really done anything tell you it's not a good opportunity. It's so funny to me. But it's so frustrating and so many reasons. It's a reason why some people don't start, why some people quit, or some people are right there knocking on the door. Somebody said the other day, like, don't go 90% and quit. Just don't do that. You might as well not start, but don't go 90%, almost be there and follow through. So I'm just kind of referencing for all you naysayers out there, don't ruin it for everyone else. Keep your limiting beliefs to yourself. If you want to hold them tight,
shots fired.
Say that louder, man.
Just cuddle up next to your limiting beliefs and hold them with dear certainty and grip them for life, but don't ruin it for everyone else. So.
Hold on, can we need a soundbite for that one.
It just gave me goosebumps.
Oh my gosh, shots fired.
I love that.
Come on.
I love that.
So let's do this. Let's pivot. This is amazing. I want to get into some tactical stuff because the other thing that you talked to me
about to go there, man.
is you told me last time we were together, you gave me your regiment for calls. You gave me your regiment for marketing. You gave me your we just heard that you jumped on a plane, spent $4,000 to go talk to a mega agent. Like it's just
shake her hand.
One of the things,
shake a hand.
Yeah, talk about that. One of the things, and Rod is one of the best of that I've seen. It's like doing the stuff that doesn't make sense and until it all of a sudden just makes all the sense in the world. Okay. So talk to us about your velocity of activity, what your day looks like, and your philosophy and mindsets around that.
Boom. Let's start it. Closed mouths don't get fed.
I feel like I need to get my notepad out right now.
I have 3 notes.
Closed mouths don't get fed. We work in sales. It is not a hidden secret. And that is really where your business grows or dies. So my regiment's very, very simple. I am a product of mortgage marketing animals. People will tell you it doesn't work. It does. It doesn't work.
Marketing works?
Marketing works. Sweat same way every time. Thank you to the man that fired me from that organization because I'm naysayers.
Yeah.
He did me a favor though.
They always do. They always do.
Depending on how you look at it.
I will never forget that morning when I got that email and my assistant called me. She goes, "I think we're getting fired." I said, "We're definitely getting fired." But that's where it starts. Closed mouths don't get fed. You can't come into sales and just be scared. So on Monday mornings, I do 2 hours of cold calling. Straight, just I'm looking online, looking for connections, or I'll even ask my own agents, like, "Hey, who do you think I vibe with? Like, you and I are cool. Who do you think I would vibe with?" If people are really in your lane, they're gonna refer someone to you. Like that's it.
You can stop right there.
That's it. Like,
what does that look like? Do you have your phone on Do Not Disturb? Do you have music going? What is your environment when you're making those phone calls?
So my phone, I actually will not answer the phone, and I tell my partners this. I'm like from 9:30 to about 11:30, which I'm kind of shifting right now. Kind of going from 10:30 to 12:30. Don't call me because I'm not going to answer.
You set that expectation.
I set the expectation.
Do you tell them you're marketing?
Yeah, no, they know because I have a full plan that it's the Realtor Real-Time Referral Program. So what it is on Mondays, I'm following up with my agents, just calling and say, "Hey, I saw you guys went to, your kid got a haircut."
Every week?
Every week, same way every time. Just reminding like, "Hey, I'm right here. We're here." And then I'll call new agents. So I build out a list of Focus 40, which now I'm very, very adamant about making this list much bigger.
Focus 40.
Focus 40. So you want to have 40 agents who are producing, who you have relationships with, you build an actual business with. These are the people that I'm taking out to Michigan. I'm spending the money on. I care about them. I literally welcome to the family. You know that if I don't answer because I'm out at aerial class because Valentina's sick, you know that you can call my assistant and things are going to get done. On Tuesdays, we're calling everybody on the transaction. We have a new way of saying goodbye. "Hey, if you're happy with our service, anyone who's looking to buy, sell, or refinance, would you mind sending them our way?" Guess what? People don't have business because they're not asking for it.
Well, hold on a second. So this is one of the things we were talking about with our team, which some of them do, but most of them do not. And I'm calling you out if you're listening to this and you're part of our organization, is that referrals happen when you do a good job.
100%.
They do. But more of them happen if you actually ask for them. So talk to us about how you ask for them, what that process looks like, unpack that, and is it in person? Is it an email? Is it an automation? Is it both? What's that process look like?
So it's always on the phone. Most of the times we really don't get to meet with our clients unless they're coming into the office, which some people do, some people don't. It just depends, but it's the same way. Tuesdays, we're calling everybody in the transaction. We have a new way of saying goodbye. Hey,
I like that. A new way of saying goodbye.
New way of saying goodbye. And you can customize it, but it literally is, "Hey, if you're happy with everything the way it's going so far, can I count on you? If you know any friends, family, or coworkers, or just depending on how I vibe with them, like, hey, your prima, your tío, just depending on the vibe, I'll be like, if you're happy with our service, do you mind, telling your friends about us?"
I want to pause for a second because, we assume as salespeople that people know what we want, right?
Right.
We assume that clients, we assume that they don't, there's nothing there for them to help us, right? People want to help people. And I love the fact that you just found a new way to say goodbye. Even referral partners don't always remember how they can help you and that you're looking for their referrals.
100%.
So I just want to draw attention to that because
Yep.
You do that every time you hang up with a
Because
client.
they're thinking about them, right? Which we all are, right? So, but being able to remind somebody, hey, by the way, it's like, oh, you know what? Actually, yeah.
I work off referrals.
Here's another thing on that.
Quite literally.
I think people want to help people any chance they
True
get.
story.
It's just that how much effort is it going to take me to help you? If I can open this door and leave it open for somebody, it doesn't take me a lot of time, but I feel good that I opened the door for somebody and there's no friction, I'm going to do it every time. However, if the door's really, really heavy and it took me a long time to get it open, I might sneak through it without opening it for the next person, right? So, like, I think it's making it easy on people and also making sure that it's all the time that you're in front of people, because sometimes it's easy to refer and sometimes it's not because you don't have anybody to refer.
Right.
I also think there's a misconception of that you can give and then ask. I actually think a compliment is one of the best ways to start to ask for a referral, where you say, hey, I love working together. Do you know anybody else like you?
That's right.
Right? And they go, wow,
yeah.
okay, cool. They value me.
So right.
And yes, I do know people like me.
It's great language.
Right? It's just simple. Give a compliment and then make an ask.
That's amazing.
And you can do that. Sometimes I will tell, and a lot of times I've had great clients. I'll tell them, listen, I am so blessed. I wish all of my clients were like you. Mm-hmm. If you know any friends, family, or coworkers, your cousins, anybody that could take the level of service that we've given you, would you mind giving them my name? And guess what? Comes in, I give it right back to the agent that I closed out with.
How many times would they know that if you didn't ask that?
Before you go, say that last part.
That goes right back to the agent that I closed that previous deal with.
The real estate agent that you closed the original deal with, you send it to
Back
that
to them.
agent.
Wow. Yep. So they just got a 8 to in our market. I'm doing all of Florida now, but every quarter it's about $25,000 pay increase.
So
we're bringing. Here's the thing. Like let's unpack it a little more. Realtors hate us. I am not your enemy. You should love me. The reality is, you do all this work. You open a ton of doors. You see the same paint dry. They didn't like it. Now they love it. Now you're back at the first house that you saw after you saw 10. And now you're going to go give someone a contract who's probably not even the best priced just because they might give you some marketing dollars. Are you really doing your fiduciary duty for your client when you're getting a rate that's costing them $15,000, $20,000 when they could just work with someone like me who's saving them an average of $10,000 per loan? So on average, brokers are about $9,000 to $10,000 cheaper than your regular direct lenders.
So let's unpack that for a second. So that sounds like a very refined value prop.
Yeah.
That you have, and it's a belief, right? Which is amazing. So when you're calling on a new realtor partner, what does that sequence look like from cold call to first referral that they send you?
Yeah, like is there a follow up? Is it every Monday? What do you do Tuesday? Like
every Monday.
Do you ask? Do you ask for a piece of business the first time you call someone?
No. So when I cold call, it's not really a full cold call. I'll go through a list of. I do about 170 cold calls every day, Monday through Thursday.
Come again?
170
a day.
How long does that take you?
A day?
2 hours and 30
a
minutes.
Day.
A day.
2.5 hours.
Wait a minute.
Stop the recording.
I just want to make sure that
A day.
It sounded like you said, how many a day?
270 a day.
Okay. I just want to make sure I heard it right.
Well, here's the thing. If you look at your metrics, the money's in the numbers. I don't know. I think it's just so funny because I really just wanted what all these successful white men had. I'm going to say it, guys. You're going to get the raw meat. Look, you go to all these marketing things. You go to all these events. You go to all these leadership things. And the people sitting in the front paying VIP are these white men, beautiful suits, Louis Vuitton shoes, driving Range Rovers and Escalades, and their beautiful wives next to them. Hate it. I don't hate men. I respect them. A lot of these men either really grind it out for them or they're taking over a father's business. But it's all the same thing.
Yeah, throw some Latina flavor in there.
Where are the Hispanic first-generation women? And that was another big thing for me. I was like, we need women in the workspace. We need women in the real estate space. We're already counted out. My God, I don't want to get into that because the own women are the ones who are our worst enemies in the beginning. Yes, you women. You should be lifting each other up. We talk about that a lot, but you guys are the first ones eating each other in the worst way, you know? But
I couldn't speak to that.
Yeah, I'm not qualified either.
No, coming from
Best for
three
me, just-
white men, I don't know if we have the. I don't know. if we
Not
do
Range
that.
Rovers, but nice suits.
Nice. Yeah, you guys always look fresh. But what I was saying is like that's the industry standard, right? Like, I love white men. We love men, right? But when you look at it, it's almost the same thing. And I'm like, well, if these guys have
It's
it,
the same in the insurance business.
yeah, if these guys have it, well, why can't I have it? And then you emulate the things they do. So yeah, I'm making cold calls. So my realtors, you had asked me about realtors.
Well, before you move on,
we have so much done
right?
back here.
It's modeling, and so it's like,
Yeah.
you go back to the naysayers. You can stay in your lane, but also look at people that are doing what you want to do,
100%.
and say, what are they doing? And here's the secret: do it,
Just do it.
and then continue to do it and do it
And do it.
Until
Until
the
the job gets done. And you're somebody you're proud of.
But that's the thing. People start, they'll do it for 2 days and hey, it doesn't work.
Right.
I'm like, you're right. It doesn't get out of my way because I'm coming for your market share. I'm just kidding. But that's really what
We
it
were
is.
just talking about this. Somebody gets so excited. They make a marketing plan. They see the guy with the Range Rover. They see what they want. They get excited. They go home. They tell their spouse. They tell their friends. Their friends go, whatever. And then they start, and then they
Cold
stop.
calling doesn't work.
And then they do 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks. No, they stop. Why do people do that?
because I learned something recently because, like I said, a single mom learning the new ropes. I'm burnt out. I'm tired, man. I'm tired straight up. Like our family dynamic has changed a lot. I wanted to quit, but not because like the industry sucks. The mortgage industry saved my life.
Right. But sometimes it's hard.
You're just tired.
I'm tired,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
winners learn how to take a break. They don't learn how to quit.
well, I think that's part of the playbook, right? It's like you have to learn how to listen to yourself. You have to learn how to listen to what's saying. I mean, burnout is a real thing.
It really is.
It's a real thing, and it's you're not immune to it. I don't care who you are. You take the people in the front row with the suits and the Range Rovers. Yeah. They get burnt out. Yeah. They just find a constructive way to release it and recharge. And you bring it up. I don't think it's something, and I don't care what level you're at. You could be in the front row or you could be in the back, but you aspiring to be in the front row, but you've got activity that would match those in the front row. The people in the back that are bitching, no, this isn't for you.
Right.
But the people that are in the back that want to get to the front, that are putting out the way they need to put out to get to the front, you're going to get burnt out too. And you need to be taking care of yourself, just like the person in the front row.
Because the biggest threat, we talk about it all the time, the biggest threat is you quitting. Because if you quit, you can't continue the activity and continue to play the game.
100%.
So you have to be aware. It's almost like in sports where it's bend, don't break, right?
So good.
You may allow the field goal, but not the touchdown. And in that season of your life, that may be good enough to still win the
So
game.
good.
And because, and we're in an odd season, it's like there's a lot of life happening. We're dealing with a lot of stuff. And you mentioned that. People deal with a lot of stuff. And it's not every season. You can go a season without loss, with a different market, whatever it is, but then you go through a season that's tough. And so how can you reconstruct and get through that season and live to see it on the other side, letting that season,
You just got to keep going.
You.
You just got to keep going.
And I
you
relate to
have to
that.
keep going. Man, talking to my younger self, right? We talked about that earlier.
What would you say?
Shut up.
You tell her to shut up.
I'd tell her to shut up. I'd tell her that she's not too much. That you're going to fail. You're going to fail a lot, man. And make some rough life decisions. Everyone's going to look at you and say, you're a 21-year-old mother. Your life is over. By the way, if you have kids young, your life is not over. Get that out of your head, man. I'm not saying go have a kid at 18, but I grew up with my daughter. My daughter's going to be 9 this year in December. And I'm like looking at her and she's like, Mom, I'm going to take over your business. I'm like, yes, you are. Yeah. I would tell myself to give yourself grace. Give yourself grace and allow yourself to fail forward. Man, if someone would have told me that failing is going to be part of what makes you better, I wish we didn't focus so much on the book smarts and the stuff. Let's teach our kids how to get back up. That life is not. My brother told me the other day, I was calling him and crying. I'm like, he's like, this is life. You're just not used to it. You're not used to life punching you in the face. He's like, you're used to business punching you in the face, but this is life. Ugh. And I was like, ugh. He's like, yeah, my dad left when I was young. The girls are going to be fine. And I'm like, he's like, this is life. And I would tell my younger self that life is going to happen. My dad always told me life is 90%. It's 80% of what happens, it's 20% of what happens to you and 80% of how you move forward and how you take the mentality. And it's true.
Yeah.
Like I literally talked about this on another podcast recently. Literally, life is like a boxing ring. You get in there, you're so excited, right? It's like sales. You're so excited. I'm gonna knock out in the first round, and you literally are on the 5 count, and you're like, get up. And that's what it is. You just get up barely enough to like stand up, but they don't count you out, and you go another round. And that's really what it is. That's life, and that's sales, and that's business. And hard markets create millionaires. How many people have built fortunes in down markets? How many people during COVID blew up, made a fortune while other people were losing everything? There's so much opportunity. You gotta have it, man.
That mindset. What is that? Do you make calls with somebody? Do you have an accountability partner on
My
that?
assistant.
You do.
So yeah, look, I make calls. There's I'll post it on my Instagram. I have a little thing. It's like 4 green Post-its, and I wrote to myself, and it's like, when you don't make calls, you decide that having fear is more important than paying the roof over the girl's head, paying their school, making sure the girls are fed, making sure the girls have what they need.
Wow.
And it's true. Like I think so many times, like, we'll do this thing where we're like, oh, if I don't do it today, it's fine. Yeah. But then Tuesday comes and you're not doing it. And then Wednesday comes, you're still not doing it. But when I materialized it, my hours, my green hours, right? So my productivity hours come out to $672 an hour. So my assistant will look at me, she's like, you're negative. And I'm like, But when I realized that every hour that I work in my business is worth $672 an hour, you're like, okay, well, are you going to eat crap or are you going to go out and work? So my assistant, my 22-year-old executive assistant who runs my life, God bless her, she's really just such an asset to my life and my business. She'll literally tell me, she's like, shut up and go make calls. You pay me a salary to... That was the thing. One of my mentors had told me, he goes, you hire someone who tells you what you need to do.
When you talk about building your business, do you delineate between being a loan officer and being a marketer? Like when you say build my business, my perspective is when you're being a loan officer, you're not building it, you're maintaining it, you're doing what you need to do. But growing it, building it is when you're banging phones and you're meeting people and you're flying to see people and shake hands. Do you see a correlation between building it through marketing and supporting it through sales? Talk to me kind of about how you view that, right?
Right. So I think one of the things that happens, and you'll see this a lot in our industry, is loan officers get caught up in just being people behind a desk. I had a realtor partner. He's in Tampa. He knows exactly who he is. And I remember he would tell me, he's like, are you a processor? I'm like, sir, I have my license. You know how hard it was to get this? He's like, oh, because you're always behind the desk. And I was like, this is right. Like literally that month, I paid to go get more, coaching. That's when I started coaching. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, the best loan officers I know are always out. And I was
Damn.
like, wow. Okay. So thanks,
just
Edwin.
got goosebumps.
Thanks, Edwin. You saved my life at that point.
Right.
He's crushing it. He's a great agent in Tampa, Coldwell Banker. Keep an eye out for him. He's going to do great things.
I need his name.
I will. I would. That's someone else I got to put you guys in contact with. Really great guy. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? But that's one of the problems in our industry is we get so caught up in the paperwork and the pay stubs and the things. And what happens, guidelines are changing and updates are happening and new things are coming out and you're getting stuck in the paperwork. And when I got into coaching and all this great stuff that I'm paying for, and I'm looking at all the white men with the Range Rovers and their beautiful wives, they're like, you need to hire. And I'm like, sir, how am I going to hire? I am, no, nobody can calculate income better than I can. But then I'm looking at it, I'm getting leads and I can't even get a pre-approval out the same day because somebody else is calling me and the realtor wants an update and I'm no longer in that file and I forgot to do the income. So the best loan officers know that we are professional network marketers. That's what I am. Listen, I need to be shaking hands and kissing babies. That is how you build the business. Why? Because I know my guidelines. I'm at UWM once a month minimum because I need to continue growing and educating myself and being engulfed in the industry and what's happening, how we can help our borrowers. And then I teach my team because I have someone who I can pay a $5,000 salary a month to calculate income because you don't need to be a loan officer to calculate income. It's not you, it's who. So you hire people who are more qualified than you. Listen, I'm not good. I'm a great networker. My specialty is being a servant leader. My specialty is shaking hands. My specialty is getting to know your story. My specialty is connecting with you. My specialty is, seeing your wife play the piano.
Oh, thank you.
seeing you with your kids. You know, I build relationships with you guys. Like that is where it is. You know, you guys are going on, like you're going on a cruise and you painted your toes yesterday. I was cracking up. I was dying. I was literally
Please don't
dying.
say that out
I
loud.
was
We
literally
still
dying.
don't know what the residual effects of that are going to be.
And those of you that are listening to this
Please-
podcast
please don't say
have
that
no
out loud.
context of what that means. But
You don't need much context. He painted his
Yeah. Tell me it's not still painted.
They could be.
I plead the
God.
No,
fifth.
you can't get it. It's going to be a minute, bro. You're going to be on the cruise with the toes.
Well, they asked me if I could do like the normal one of the gels, and the gels I'd have to come back and ask. And I looked at the girls and I said, "Girls," and they're like, "No, don't do that."
Don't do the gel.
Thank you,
I'm
girls.
so glad.
Thank you, girls.
They love you. They really do love you, because if not, they were going to set you up for failure. But like I was saying, like, well, when I was here for Valentine's Day, I drove up to meet with you.
Yeah, you did.
I
It's
drove up to meet
unbelievable.
with him.
Unbelievable.
Why? Because I know the value of partnership, right? I know. So I am best equipped to hire someone who is smarter than me, who's better at me at calculating income and focus. I literally, sometimes my assistant's like, I'm going to fire you. I'm like, why? She's like, you just threw 10 things at me. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, call this agent, update this person, do this, and do this, because I got to go. Why? Because I can't feed her. I can't feed my family. I can't be better. I can't connect agents. I can't get them referrals. I can't do things if I'm sitting behind a desk. So I am best fit shaking hands and kissing babies. And that is the best loan officer. If I'm constantly behind chasing paperwork, that's an entry level position. And it's not to downgrade anyone, but my assistant is 22 years old, almost making $5K a month. And what does she do? She calculates income. She follows up. She helps me. And I'm going to hire a second and a third one now, because we're growing at a rate that I'm now going to go and train other loan officers, because I hate to say it, but you don't need to know an FHA loan. You need to know how to get in front of people, shake hands. The thing is, you can get a mortgage anywhere. You can literally go online right now and get a mortgage, but you don't get a mortgage with me. You buy me.
This is so relatable to. I'm so happy that you asked that question. I think he was baiting you. 'Cause
Shocker.
He's smiling. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll
I don't
see.
know what you're
You'll see
talking
Roddy. He looks like he's pink at this point. He's blushing, but it's so similar in our business. And there's this shift that occurs when that aha moment. But there's this resistance that says, I can't release this because this stuff, you've learned it and you're good at it, right? Quote unquote. And you think that your value comes from being good at it. You think your value comes from, oh, no, well, I know how to do it. And, it's just, this is my value. And
it doesn't take me that long.
It doesn't take me long. And they can't do it like the way that I do it. And there's just these nuances and, and there's this shift that happens from the individuals in the insurance space who start to blow it up when they realize that the real value is that they're a professional communicator.
That's it.
And they're a network marketer. By the way, our background's network marketing. That's why we vibe so
We
much.
talked about
right.
it. Yeah.
So
Thank God
because
for that
their
industry.
value is being able to get in front of a bigger audience, connect with that audience, have a value prop that resonates with that audience, and then figure out what problems they can solve and offer a solution. And they just rinse and repeat that over and over and over again. And anything that falls outside of that, they might not be able to do it immediately, but the goal is slowly I'm going to start delegating that. Yeah. So that shift is the difference between being a professional and being a business builder is what we call it.
100%.
And that's when your life just completely changes. But, and we're going to have to wrap this up because we're close, but this is how I want to end. So the friction point of when that was where you're like, I gotta hold it all. I have my value is that I'm working 75 hours a week and I got to do it all because that's my value. That's my identity. I can't give it away. To this real estate agent telling this to you, you having an aha moment, you go get the coaching. Did you immediately go, I got to immediately do this, or was it a slow shift?
Oh, no, it's funny. I paid for the coaching. I was literally like the sweetheart. I was the girl in the back of the room. Actually, it's tomorrow's a year.
Wow. A year in the coaching?
Tomorrow I make a year sober.
Wow.
Oh, congratulations.
But tomorrow's actually a year from the time that I walked into my coaching program, and I was actually sitting in the back drunk.
Jeez.
I actually I actually told, wow.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. It hit me because the flight attendant on my flight, he's like, you look really tired. I was like, yeah, I'm tired. He came out to me. I didn't get first class or comfort plus because I got rebooked. I have really bad flying anxiety. You wouldn't believe it because I'm flying every week. Yeah. And he's like, can I get you a drink? And I was like, no, thank you. And he's like, are you sure it's on me? I was like, no, I make a year sober tomorrow. He goes, I make 4 years today.
Wow.
But it was in that moment, right, that I'm sitting in the back of this room with all of these people. The people in the front are one white woman, love her dearly, a few other women, but all these men. I'm sitting there and I'm asking questions, and I literally apologize. Like, I'm so sorry. I paid a lot of money for this. I showed up 2.5 hours late. I remember I woke up that morning. I was so drunk. I couldn't even drive. It was really bad. I had to sober up. It's kind of crazy. I'm sitting in the back and I'm like 2 Red Bulls in. I had like a hash brown. I felt horrible. I'm like, I grabbed a handful of mints. I'm sitting in the back and I keep asking questions, and I literally apologized. I was like, hey, I'm sorry, but I paid for this. I really got to get my money's worth, because I wasn't planning into going to the whole coaching thing. I paid the $800 to be there or whatever.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm hearing this, and they're like, well, and I go up to these guys and own the coaching company. I'm like, hey, I want to be that woman. Teach me how to be that woman. I want to have a 4-day vacation with my kids once a month and be able to afford that life and not have to give up everything. And that's really when it clicked for me. I was still in my relationship, my marriage, and I noticed that I was having a lot less time at home. Yeah, I'm making $35,000 a month, but I can't scale. I can't get out of that 3 to 4 or 5 loans a month. And I'm like, man. And they're like, you need to hire. And I'm like, oh, no, nobody can do it like I can. So I'm like, you know what? These are the people that have what I want. I want to be that woman, Suzanne Downs. I literally know exactly who she is. She has 4 daughters, single mom. She goes on one vacation every month, 4 days. And I'm like, 2 comma club, W2 earner. I'm like, teach me how to be her. That's really what it was.
Love that.
So like, you need to hire. I'm like, okay. I go back to the office, and my old branch manager, I still love him dearly. That man really helped me a lot. And he knows exactly who he is. I'm forever grateful for the time he poured into me also. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to structure my business this way. And everyone kind of laughed at me. My coach had told me, he goes, that's what's going to happen. They're going to laugh at you. I ended up leaving that organization maybe 2 months later, because I just wasn't scaling. I wasn't scaling. My daughter fell ill at PICU. My youngest has a lot of asthma issues, lung issues from a virus that she got when she was little. And I'm like in the hospital working on files. And I'm like, okay, I'm grateful to God that I don't have to choose between being a mom and a paycheck. I'm here with my baby. But I'm like, my business is not scaling. What can I do? And I was like, I got to do what these people are telling me to do. So I left the organization, I hired, and then I'm like, okay, what do I do next? And they're like, make your phone calls, meet with agents. And that's exactly what I do. And that's what I do. I meet with agents, and I don't even ask them for business unless like I can see it right there, but I just want to get to know them, because I'm going to tell you one big nugget. One of the best things about our industry is we get to choose who we work with. I know in the beginning it's really hard because you want to take everything, but I'll tell people, like I'll call agents and be like, get off my phone. And I'm like, look, I don't even know if we're qualified to work together. And it's not like me being mean, but it's the truth. Like, I don't know if I want to work with you yet. You look cool in line, but if we get together and I don't vibe with you, I'm not calling you back. It's the truth. Like, we get to build a business working with people that we know, or we get to know and we love. Like, that's why I tell everyone every day, I'm like, don't think that I want to work with you. Like, I want to try to work with you, but let's be humble about it. What if we're not a good fit? What if we just don't mesh? What if we don't align? And it was that time, April 5th, 2023 is where I had a really, really big shift in my business. And I stopped drinking. Stopped drinking. I said, I want different, so I'm going to have to be different.
Wow.
I said, I need to get out of this 3 to 5 loan rut. I'm making good money, but I don't have a life. And I took off. And tomorrow marks a year.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
On so many levels.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sounds like the inspiration of seeing someone that you can reach out and touch who has what you want compels you to do the things, and then meeting roadblocks where your environment says, no, you can't do that. And you go, well, then I got to get in a different environment. You know, I know that this is what I need to do, and hell or high water, that's what I'm going to do, because they have what I want. So I'm going to model what they want.
100%. And when you dumb it down, like literally dumb it down, guys, golden nugget, we get paid to talk. What industry can you go into that's not like a talk show host, right? But like on a professional level, like I was going to go to medical school. My friends, I make just as much, if not more money than my friends who are in medical school, and I don't have $600,000 in debt. And I didn't go to school for 12 years. What industry is going to give you the freedom and the life that we have. All you have to do is talk. You have to put yourself out there. Listen, people bite you. I'd say it all the time, but if you're not, closed mouths don't get fed. If you're not talking, you're not networking, you're not meeting people, you're not shaking hands and care for people. You can't look at people as a paycheck, but if you're not doing that, you're not growing. And if you're not in the right room, change the room.
So good. Well, man, I have like 6 pages of notes, which is fun. And I rattled off a bunch of them, but, winners learn to take breaks. They don't quit. That was one that just jumped off the page to me. Ashlin, how can people find you? I know you're super active on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, you can follow me along. The handle's Ask Ash About Mortgages. It's real simple. Come and ask Ash. That's me. Ask Ash About Mortgages. Slide into the DMs. Give us a call. We're always here to answer anything and make you feel welcome to the family.
I love that. We'll make sure we blast out your contact information. Thank you for being such a key member in the BEP community. Your voice is loud, it's heard, and it's so appreciated. And you're just an incredible example for a lot of people, and especially up-and-coming females in a professional setting where it needs stronger females and strong voices. So thank you for everything you do in there.
No, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, gang, I appreciate everybody's attention today. Thank you so much. What an amazing episode. As you go about your week, I tell you what, there's nothing ordinary about this table right now, so I'm going to leave it with the extraordinary.